I am going to be straight with you today. I used to think I knew what sacrifice meant. 16 years in the tech world, working across continents, climbing the ladder. I thought sacrifice was working late, missing dinner, or giving up weekends. I was wrong, dead wrong. Real sacrifice, it is way deeper than that, and it is way scarier than that. And most of us, myself included, for a far too long a period of time, we are not willing to go there. And I'm talking to you right now, right? The CEO who is frustrated because you keep hitting the same walls over and over again. You, the person who knows that you are meant for more, but you can't figure out why you keep sabotaging yourself and playing below your potential. I see you because I was you. I am you in so many ways. And what I am about to tell you is going to hurt a little, maybe a lot, but I have to speak the truth today. See, here is the thing nobody talks about. You think you want greatness, but you are actually committed to something else entirely. Something you don't even realize, let alone recognize. And until you face that, until you look that ugly truth in the eye, you're going to keep spinning your wheels, trying to aim for that greatness or those great results, but continuously sabotaging yourself unconsciously. I know that because I did it myself for years. I told myself I wanted to make a real impact, change the world, all of that stuff. But deep down, I was committed to being safe. I was committed to being liked. I was committed to not rocking the boat too hard. I was committed to not get into a conflict. And that commitment to safety, it was killing my greatness before it even had a chance to breathe. So let me ask you, what is it that you are really committed to? And this is where it really gets uncomfortable. You say that you want to build a $1 billion company, but are you really committed to what it takes to build $1 billion companies? Are you only committed to looking like you are building a $1 billion company rather than actually building it? You say you want to create a workplace that nourishes people, but are you really committed to having the hard conversations that make it possible? Or are you only committed to being the nice boss who avoids conflict? You say you want to change your industry, but are you really committed to being misunderstood for years while you build that change? Or are you only committed to being liked and admired by those who represent everything that you want to change? I had to face this in my own life. I said I wanted to help the biggest change makers, the biggest leaders on this planet, and I wanted to help them lead a life of significance, lead a life of contribution and inspiration. But I was actually committed to being comfortable. I was actually committed to not being vulnerable. I was committed to having all the answers rather than starting before I was ready. And the day I admitted that, the day that I said I have been lying to myself, that's when everything changed. That's my real journey actually began. Because here is the brutal truth: you can't serve two masters, you can't have two commitments. You can't be committed to greatness and committed to comfort at the same time. You can't be committed to impact and then committed to being liked by everyone at the same time. You have to choose. And most people, they never make that choice. They spend their whole lives trying to have both and they end up with neither. Here is the boring truth about greatness: greatness requires repetition. So let's talk about something that is going to sound really unsexy: repetition. Everyone wants those big moments. Everybody wants the breakthrough stories. And everybody wants the overnight success narrative, which we all know is bullshit. But greatness actually lives or happens through the boring stuff. The stuff you do when nobody is watching, the stuff you do on Tuesday at 6 a.m., and the stuff that you do on Thursday at 8 p.m., even when you don't feel like it. Greatness is about doing the same essential things, many times boring things, over and over again until they become a part of who you are, until they start to flow naturally from you. You want to know what changed my life? Meditating and creating myself multiple times every day for the last 5 years. I created a routine to create myself from the ground up multiple times a day, not just once. Not because it is magic, not because it is glamorous, because that is what it takes. This is what it took me. That repetition, that boring, mundane, nobody gives a damn about, nobody sees repetition. That is what built who I needed to be and what I needed to do for everything else, every other result in my life to happen. And here is what I tell the leaders that I work with: find your own sacred personal routine to create yourself and your state of being from the inside out. Find that one thing that you can do every day that matters, that nobody will applaud you for. and do it, like not just once, but do it every day for months at end, for years at end. Because greatness is not built in this moment or the next one. It is built in the space between moments, in the thousand tiny choices that nobody sees. And the leaders who actually change things, the leaders who actually create something amazing, they have mastered the art of showing up when they don't want to, of doing the work when it is boring, of staying consistent when everyone else is looking for shortcuts. And this is the work that nobody sees. And it is about the work that you will never get credit for, the work that happens in the shadows, the work that builds your soul, that builds your character while nobody is paying attention. I call this working on your being, like creating yourself from the ground up. And it is where your real power gets developed. While everyone else is building their brand, you are actually getting coached by the best in the world, working through why you need everyone to like you. While everyone is at networking events, you're journaling about your fears. While everyone else is giving motivational speeches, you are doing the unglamorous work of becoming someone worth following. It is not pretty, it is not glamorous, it is not Instagram worthy. It is messy many times, it is uncomfortable and hard, but it is everything, I can tell you that. I remember when I first started working with a coach, I thought we would talk strategy, goals, all of that surface level stuff. Instead, we spent months talking about why I was so afraid of being seen, why I would rather be right than be effective, why I kept sabotaging myself right before breakthrough moments. Work that invisible, nobody gives you credit for it works. That is what made everything else possible for me. Most leaders are trying to build greatness on a shaky foundation. They're trying to create extraordinary results with ordinary self awareness. They're trying to lead others while not even leading themselves. This inner work on yourself is where you become the kind of person who can handle greatness, who people want to follow, where you develop the inner strength to hold vision when everyone else is panicking, where you learn to make decisions from love instead of fear, which is all too easy and all too common in the world around us. And here is the kicker, right? You will never get applause for this inner work. Nobody is going to give you an award for healing your trauma, or learning to set boundaries, or figuring out why you people please, or how you overcame that. But that work, that is essential. That is what separates the leaders who burn out from the ones who build legacies. Another thing is that this is about playing the long game. Greatness requires you to commit to outcomes that you might never see, to plant seeds that you might never harvest, to start fights you might never live to finish. And this is where your ego is going to throw a tantrum, because your ego wants credit, it wants recognition, it wants the reward, it wants to see results now. But the leaders who actually change the world, they are playing a completely different game. They're making choices today based on what is right now, the best thing for people, sometimes for people whom they have not even met. They are solving problems that might not be solved for decades or even in their lifetimes. And I had to learn this when I left my tech career. People thought I was crazy. People said that you're giving up everything that you have built. And what if it doesn't work out? And they were right to ask. Like, my mind was also spinning up the same questions. Because in the end, I was committing to something I might never achieve. I was choosing to serve something bigger than my own success. I was choosing significance over security. And yet the short-term thinking, like how do I get the next result, was always inside of me, rotating and spinning me without helping me make progress in the actual reason why I decided to do what I do today. So here is what playing the long game really means. You have to be willing to sacrifice what you want right now for what you have never had. You have to be willing to look stupid or clueless for years while you are building something that doesn't exist yet. Most people can't handle this. They need immediate feedback. They need immediate rewards. They need constant validation. They need to know it is working before they start. But real greatness, real impact, it doesn't work that way. The most important things you will ever do might not even pay off for years or decades, maybe never in your lifetime. And you have to be okay with that. You have to find peace in the process, not just the outcome. You have to fall in love with the journey, even if the destination keeps changing or the destination never arrives. And this is where you test your real limits. And living a life of inspiration will test your limits. And that's not a bad thing. That's how you are forged and made into who you can be. And it will not just test your physical limits, though those also matter. I am talking about testing what is actually possible for you as a human being, as a leader, as a friend, as a family man, as someone who is here to make a difference. And you know when you are really testing your limits? When everything in you wants to quit and you keep going anyways. When the voice in your head is screaming, this is impossible, and you take the next step. I see this all the time with the people that I work with today. They come to me thinking that their limits are way smaller than they actually are. They have been playing it safe for so long that they have forgotten what they are really capable of. Most of them are based on old stories, experiences, old fears, old versions of yourself that don't even exist anymore or don't have to exist anymore. And real limit testing happens when you are scared out of your mind and you do it anyway. You do it afraid. When you are exhausted and you find another gear of operating. When everyone around you is saying be realistic and you choose to be unreasonable instead. That is when your limits are tested. I remember when I first started speaking about leadership, I was terrified. I was nowhere close to being called a leader, but I started before I was ready. I had imposter syndrome so bad I could barely function. I could shake in front of people. Every part of me wanted to stick to what I knew, which was programming, which was sitting behind a computer, playing it safe. But I knew that version of me, the safe version, couldn't create the impact that I was called to create, that I wanted to create. It almost felt like not being alive, sitting in front of a computer and doing what I was very good at, but I had lost my soul in that. That was not what I wanted to do. So I kept pushing, I kept testing what was possible for me. You know what I discovered? My limits were not what I thought they were, not even close. And the voice in your head that is telling you right now that you can't do that, most of the time it is lying. The fear that is telling you this is too much is actually just your comfort zone trying to keep you small, keep you in that space of comfort. Because testing your limits is not about comfort. It is also not about being reckless. It is actually about being honest about what is actually possible versus what you have convinced yourself is possible for you. Now the question here is, right, this is something they don't teach in business school, that your character or your state of being, which basically means who you are from the ground up, is your ceiling. You can have all the strategy in the world, all the resources, all the opportunities. But if your character can't handle that greatness, can't see that possible, character is not just about being honest or showing up on time. Character is who you are, especially when nobody is watching. Who you are when it is hard. Who you are when doing the right thing costs you something or costs you everything. Every decision you make is either building your character or tearing it down. Every time you choose the hard but the right thing over the easy but the wrong thing, you're making a deposit, you're building up your character, you're building up who you are. And every time you do what you said you would do, even when there is a cost, even when it is not easy, even when you don't feel like it, that's where you are building the foundation for who you are for everything else. Early in my journey, I thought I could cut corners. I thought I could find hacks. I thought I could be one person in public and another person in private. It doesn't work that way. It never works. The leaders who create lasting impact, who build things that matter, who change lives, they understand that character is everything. They know that every small choice matters. Every moment of integrity counts. Every time they choose service over self-interest, they are building something bigger than themselves. But here is the thing about character. It is tested when it is inconvenient. Your leadership is tested when it gets tough. When telling the truth might cost you a deal. When doing the right thing might make you unpopular. When keeping your word might be expensive. That's when you find out who you really are. And that's the opportunity to work on yourself and create yourself, build yourself once again from the ground up. That's when you discover if you're actually committed to greatness or just the idea of greatness. When you commit to greatness, when you really commit, like your life depends on it, you're going to find yourself alone a lot. And that is not because you're antisocial, but because you're operating at a level or want to operate at a level that most people can't match or even understand. You're going to see things others don't see. You're going to make decisions others don't understand. You're going to have conversations with yourself that you can't have with anyone else. And I went through the same when I left my tech career. And suddenly the people I used to hang out wouldn't get me anymore. Like my old friends and my family thought I was having a midlife crisis. Everybody was worried about my stability, and I was lonely as hell. But here is what I have learned: this loneliness is not a bug, it's a feature. It's in that path that you have chosen to walk. It's in that space, that quiet and sometimes painful space, where you develop the strength to stand for something, even when you're standing alone, even when your legs are shaking. The greatest leaders in history, if you see, all went through periods of profound loneliness. They all had moments when they were questioned, or when they questioned themselves, whether they were crazy or visionary. They all had to learn to find their strength from within instead of from the approval of others or from any success or accolades outside. But here is the thing: you are not really alone. You are connected to something bigger than yourself. You are connected to the vision that you're trying to make happen, that is trying to emerge through you. You're connected to all the people who will benefit from your commitment to greatness, from your commitment to impact, even if they never know your name, even if you never get to meet them. This loneliness, though it feels real, it is temporary. But your impact, the impact that you get to make every day, is permanent, even though you never might actually meet the people you are impacting. And eventually, if you stay true to your path, if you stay committed, you will find your tribe. You will find other people who are committed to the same level of excellence, the same depth of service, and the same willingness to sacrifice, to pay the price. And there are those people out there, believe me. I have found my own little tribe in this process. But first, before all of that, you have to be willing to walk alone. Let's talk about the fear of success. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to greatness is not your fear of failure, it is actually your fear of success. Now, think about it, right? If you actually achieve everything that you're capable of, everything changes. Your relationships change, your responsibilities change, the problems you have to solve get bigger and scarier. So, success means that you can't hide anymore. It means you can't play small. It means you have to live up to the potential. It means you can't use excuses. It means you cannot fall back in your comfort zone. And this is scary. I see this all the time with the leaders that I coach. They get right to the edge of breakthrough and then ask themselves. They create drama, they make bad decisions, and they find ways to stay stuck. Why? Because staying stuck is familiar, because being great is really, really terrifying. And if you succeed, you might have to leave people behind, which is not easy. You might outgrow relationships that have defined you. You might have to become someone you have never been before. Again, that is not easy. But here is what I have learned: the fear of success is just another form of playing small. It is just another way your ego tries to keep you safe, to protect yourself. And the truth is, you're already responsible and accountable for your potential. You're already accountable for the gifts that you have been given. You're already on the hook for the impact you could create, because you know that you want to build upon that. Otherwise, you would not be listening to this right now. The world needs what you have to offer, not a watered down version of yourself, not a safe version, a full, unreasonable, might change everything version. Let's talk about money for a minute, because this is where a lot of people get stuck. Money is not the enemy of greatness, but it is not the point either. And if you're not careful, the pursuit of money can become the thing that keeps you from the real purpose. I was making good money, great money actually, but I was miserable. I was successful by any external measure, but I felt empty and almost dead inside. When you make money your primary goal, you start making decisions based on what pays, not what matters. You start optimizing for the wrong things. You start serving money instead of serving people. If you are really committed to greatness, if you're truly committed to serving at the highest level, money becomes a tool, not a goal. It becomes a way to amplify your impact, not the reason for your impact. And the leaders who create real wealth, they don't make money their whole purpose, but they also don't shy away from money, right? They create real wealth, not just actual wealth in all its forms, because they understand this. Money is an important part of how our society works. They know that when you serve people deeply, when you solve real problems in the world, when you create genuine value, money follows. Money will come towards you unless you block it. But you have to talk about it. You have to ask for it. You have to get comfortable spending money if you want to earn it. Believe me, it is not easy. It is not comfortable. I speak from my personal experience. That is one of the most difficult things that I had to change my relationship with money. It takes faith to choose impact over income, especially in the short term. And I had to make this choice when I left the tech world. I gave up a guaranteed income to pursue something that not work out financially. It is still scary. And I'm making this choice over and over again, almost every week, every month, as I move from being one of the most successful coaches out there to becoming a truly elite coach on this planet. It is scary and it is lonely. But here is what I have discovered. When you align your work with your purpose, when you focus on serving instead of just earning, abundance shows up in ways you never expected. Not always in the form of money, but also in the forms of opportunities, relationships, friendships, experiences, personal growth, but always in proportion to the value that you create in the world. So here is the moment of truth for you. This is the moment where you decide who you are going to be. Are you going to be someone who keep talking about greatness, or are you actually going to pay the price and doing what it takes? Are you going to keep making excuses, or are you going to get honest about what you are really committed to? Are you going to keep playing it safe, or are you going to test what is actually possible for you? Because let me tell you something, right? The world needs your greatness. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but now. And there are people in your life, there are people around you today who need you to step up. There are problems around you that needs your own unique perspective, your own unique ideas. There are solutions trying to emerge right now through you that the world desperately needs. But they are not going to emerge through the comfortable version of you. They are not going to emerge through the version that plays it safe, that avoids those tough calls, and that chooses to be liked over being brave and authentic. They are going to emerge through the version of you that is willing to pay the price, the version that does the boring work over and over again, the version that faces what needs to be faced, that faces what is it that you are unconsciously committed to, and then to say no to it bravely, the version that commit to outcomes which you might not even see in your lifetime. Because believe me, that version of you exists. If you are a human being, that version of you exists inside of you right now in this moment. And I know that because I have seen it myself. No matter how hard I have tried to deny it, I can now see it was always there. I have seen it also in every person that I have had the privilege to work with and support. And I have seen people transform from being stuck and frustrated to being completely unstoppable. Not because they're lucky, not because they had some special advantage, but because they made a choice. The choice to stop settling, the choice to stop tolerating, the choice to stop playing small, the choice to pay the price for greatness. The price, as I said earlier, could be high. I'm not going to lie to you about it. You're going to have to give up comfort. You're going to have to do work that nobody sees. You're going to have to commit to things that you might never achieve. You are going to have to test limits that scares you. And you're going to be lonely sometimes. You're going to be misunderstood. You're going to question yourself and you're going to be questioned by others. But here is what you will get in return. You get to become who you are meant to be. You get to serve at a level you're capable of serving. You might even surprise yourself by what you are capable of. You get to create the impact that is yours to create in this world. You get to stop lying to yourself about what is it that you're really committed to. You get to stop playing small. You get to actually wake up every day raring to go. You get to stop wasting the gifts that you have given. And more importantly, you get to look yourself in the mirror and know that you're not settling. You're giving everything that you have. You're not taking the easy path, that you gave everything that you had to give. Choice is yours. It has always been yours. You can keep doing what you have been doing, getting what you have been getting, and that's fine. That's safe. Right? That's comfortable. Nothing wrong, but it's limiting. Or you can choose differently right now in this moment, that you're done playing small, you're done staying comfortable, and that you're ready to test your limits, that you're ready to become the highest version of yourself. You are ready to do what it takes, to pay the price, and to actually see what greatness really looks like in your skin. I can't make that choice for you. Nobody can. But I can tell you this, if you make that choice, if you really make it, everything changes. It is not easy, but it can be simple. In the end, it is your choice, a choice that you can choose any moment, and nobody else can make that choice for you. Your greatness is waiting. It has been waiting for your entire life. The only question is, are you finally ready to choose it. The price is high, but I have realized that the cost and regret of not paying it is even higher. So, what is it going to be for you? What are you going to choose? So, thank you for listening. Until the next time, keep choosing leadership, keep choosing yourself.